Good question. To stay with that team, you have to score. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, is can we score with them? And, we can play perfect defensively, and that team can still score. That's what makes them what they are, that, there's no weaknesses over there. And so we need the same kind of aggressive attacking offense. We need clear heads. We need to see the floor. So, we need to – offense, you have to kind of play slow. Your mind has to just see things clearly, and you have to stay nice and relaxed. And that's what we were able to do last game. It took us a couple minutes to get into that rhythm, but I was really impressed by our group the first time around, that they were able to get comfortable, on their court, even against their pressure, because they came after us. And so that's going to be the same. Defensively, obviously, we have to play out of our mind, but on the offensive end, we need to be able to score.
Does it help on maybe for both of you that the last game was so close on their home floor and you were right there in the game?
Does it help us?
It helped this time around playing it.
It gives us confidence, and it certainly has helped since. I mean, that's, I think, the reason that this team is where it's at is because of it started that day, I believe. What it didn't help is probably make them mad. To be honest, so I think we're going to get a great effort from Stanford Thursday, and so, but, I mean, they're the best, and that's the fun of the challenge.
Where did the lack of intimidation come from? Was it a speech? Was it ignorance is bliss from transfers? Because a lot of teams are really intimidated at Maples.
We worked hard that week talking about the mental approach to that game and the fact that it's just another basketball team. I think any coach anywhere would tell you that. You can't get caught up in the jersey and all that. And then we had a great example just 2 nights before we played that game at Cal, where that team intimidated us and took us out of everything we wanted to do and made us play an ugly game because of their athleticism, and just the physicalness of that game was something we hadn't seen yet. And so I thought that prepared us. It gave us a good visual, and an actual experience that directly related to Stanford. And so I thought we'd really learned from Thursday to Saturday that week.
Alyssa, what did you think, though? Because you guys did not play well at Cal, and so to come back out and give the effort you did at Maples was pretty impressive. How do you think the team was able to mentally do that?
I just think we all wanted to respond well to how bad we had played on Thursday, and we took that out on Stanford. And I think any team we would have played on that Saturday would have been the same effort and the same game, but it ended up being against Stanford.
Alyssa, do you guys up your game at all when you play teams like Stanford, who are pretty powerhouses in the nation? Level higher, you take it more personal and try to beat them?
I think, the energy level is probably higher, but it's just another game. It's another team. Pac-12, anybody can win any game, and I think Stanford, anybody could beat them. Multiple teams have been close to them all season, so it's definitely doable.
What do you remember from that game, Alyssa? Was there a sense of, I can't believe we're playing with them right now, this is so cool? Or were you guys in shock? Or
I think at first it was almost wow, we were really close to them. And then as the game went on and we were still ahead, still in the game, it was, we can do this. And I think as the game went on, we saw that we don't just need to be close to Stanford, we can beat them.
Scott, for those of us who haven't been here throughout the season, and I might be the only one in this group, but could you just address briefly how this program has come so far, so fast to be in the position you're in right now, headed into this game?
Yeah, we're excited about where we are, and I think the key to the whole thing is just the type of people that make up this program. And that was my number one thing, as I was finding and developing my staff or hiring my staff, and then choosing who's going to be on our team, as best we could. We sometimes didn't have a lot of options, and we were really blessed to find great people. And so I think the character of this team is really high. The other thing that is an absolute factor is everybody in this group is used to winning. We've all come from winning backgrounds, and even though this program was not a winner when we took it over, we don't care. That doesn't matter to us. We're here now, and it's new. who cares who, where, or what? You know, we expect to be successful and do the things right, and then let the scoreboard take care of itself. And so I really think that's what has happened, you know. And so the character within this group allows them to feel good about where they are each day. We've continued to improve. Last year's team continued to improve all the way through. We had really strong leadership and great people associated with this team. Same thing this year, you know. So this team, they just do the things right. You know, they play hard every day, and they come and take care of business, and they take care of each other, you know. So it's fun to go in the gym every day, you know. And when you have that, you have a group that can achieve, you know. And so then now we've been rewarded on the scoreboard this year because we have a few more pieces, and we're a little bit better.
Alyssa, could you share your thoughts just a little bit on that and how much it's even better this year than a year ago?
Yeah, I think this year we started off right where we left off last year, and the new kids we got this year just helped us build on to what we already established. And like you said, we have the few more pieces that have helped us get a few more wins.
Alyssa, when you were coming through as a recruit during the lowest point, you decided to stick it out, and now here you are, your sophomore year, and things are looking really good. Was there any one point where you always solid, always just, I'm ready to go, this is it? Or was there some trepidation that then, like you talked about, the competing and getting better throughout the year last year, where you felt a lot better about that decision?
I was always going to stay just because I've always loved Oregon State. But then once I saw what we were doing last year, it was definitely made the decision that much better because I knew we were going to be good. And did I know we were going to be this good this year? No, but I love it.
Scott, all that being said, you know, the turnaround is dramatic this season especially. ESPN in their latest bracket projections didn't have Oregon State in the field of 64, but you were one of the first 4 teams out. Is that crazy that we're even talking about that you're even in the discussion?
It's a little crazy. Yeah, it's a little crazy. I mean, like Alyssa just said, you never know when, you know, when I took the job, I'm like, well, I feel like we'll be successful eventually. I don't know when. You can't predict wins. I hadn't coached in this league before or at this level, so I didn't know exactly what it was going to all take. What's been so encouraging to me, though, is the same thing that has worked in the past for me and the same things that were true of previous program or any group, I guess, is true here. And so if you have that common belief within a group, you can achieve. And you know, I can't say enough about what our coaches do. You know, I work with great people that are extremely talented basketball coaches and people and mentors, you know, and then this group works like crazy, you know, and they have bought in and they believe in themselves, which is just so fun for me to watch. You know, it's like, you can do this. You can finish a game. You can play well enough to be in the game and give yourself a chance. And now just to see that confidence build in them is amazing. And so I actually told my wife last night, you know, you go through the season with your head down kind of, and you're just grinding one week after another, and oh my gosh, you know, this week, oh my gosh, we got Stanford and Cal this week. We're just coming off, you know, a tough road trip for us. And then you look up and you look at the standings, and it's 17-7. Like, wow, how'd that happen? Because you sit back and you look at it, you know, none of us would have thought that at the beginning of the year probably. You know, that would have been our wildest dream, you know, to be there. But one thing leads to another. And so I wouldn't put anything past this group. So in a way, I'm surprised. In a way, I'm really pleased. And mostly I'm just really happy for them.
You said that you knew last year you guys were going to be good eventually, but when Scott took over, when you didn't have enough people to fill a roster, was there a party that had kind of resigned yourself to the fact that you're probably going to get beat pretty badly for a couple years?
I don't think I ever really thought that, especially coming in and seeing how hard we all worked last year. And then we did win our first couple preseason games. And then, I mean, you never know what was going to happen in the Pac-10. And then we stayed really close, and I never really thought we were ever going to get blown out.
Scott, you mentioned the tunnel vision of the season as a coach and a staff and preparing week in and week out, and that you did kind of notice, wow, 17-7. Do you afford yourself that opportunity much when you're coaching through the seasons, or was it unusual for you to step back and see where you're at right now?
Well, this is a unique situation. You know, it's such a pleasant surprise. You know, typically that would be a bad record, for where I was. So, you better be winning all your games, otherwise people are going to be unhappy. And so this year, though, it's a little bit unique. There's nothing like, when you're building. There's just nothing like it when people pick you, whatever they pick you, and you exceed that. That's a pretty special thing to be a part of. And so this year's unique that way, Now, all this glossy stuff being said, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, we've got a tough road ahead, and so we can't feel too good about ourselves. We got to just keep doing what we've been doing and hope the winning continues. So, but right now, yeah, when you do look, it's pretty special.
On that note, you got to figure out how to defend the Rueck sisters this week. What do you remember about them, Alyssa, when you played them this year earlier, and Scott, what are you guys going to have to do?
There's times when you think you have the rebound, and then they snatch it. So I think finding a way to keep both of them boxed out is going to be huge. And then just anytime they catch it on anywhere towards the basket, they can score. They're a threat everywhere.
Have you been able to pinpoint their team as a whole, how they've gotten better? We've discussed how you guys have progressed this season. What about their team?
I mean, they're perfect, so how do you get better when you're perfect? I don't know. So I don't know. They're really good. They don't have weaknesses. So what I remember about them, you just watch film. You guard them perfect, they still score. And so I remember the second half, though, down the stretch of that game, we're in it with 9 minutes to go, and then they got every rebound down the stretch. And they just crushed us on the boards down the stretch, and they got out in transition a couple times. But I just remember boards, and I remember thinking, who put the springboard out there? Because they're jumping off something, and that's what it looked like. They're just springing way up above us. And so they're just phenomenal athletes. They're a joy to watch, and not a joy to compete against, but it's a privilege to compete against them, for sure. They're amazing.
Talking about growth, last weekend you had a couple players, Thais and Molly, step up off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just another part of that growth process of you guys, that they're feeling comfortable going? And how cool is that to see from a coach that they put a lot of time in and then get rewarded?
Yeah, it's really cool. Molly and Thais and Kiki and, our whole team, that's a sign, in my opinion, of a healthy team that is doing the right things, is that you get contributions from everywhere. This isn't just a 1 or 2 person team. This is a team that believes, and everybody can't wait to get on the floor and contribute. And so Molly, I couldn't be happier for her. She had really a rough year. She's never been off the court in her life. She's a starting point guard, and here we put her, in a reserve role. Well, she knew that when we recruited her, but she was expecting time. She needed to embrace the defensive end, like I've said, and it took her a while to do that at the level we needed her to, and she finally embraced it, and then she got her opportunity. But throughout the whole process, she had the best attitude. She was unbelievable. She just kept working, and she was discouraged, no doubt. We've had talks, but she kept her head in it, and I told her, keep working. It's going to pay off for you, and your time is coming, because you can't argue with the offensive end of the floor with Molly. She's a phenomenal offensive player. And so now she's embracing the other end too. And so to see her go out and the team voted her player of the game, both games this past weekend, and just makes you happy. So that also makes us deeper. We've got another player that can score and shoot the ball as well as anybody else on our team that's ready to go now. And so it's awesome.
Scott, can you talk about the recruitment process of Allie? You've talked a little bit about just that you were told by her high school coach to not be discouraged by kind of her funky shot and everything, but when was the first time you saw her? What do you remember thinking initially?
Yeah, Allie is an amazing player, and we were encouraged by not only her high school coach but her AAU coach as well. And she was blessed to play for 2 awesome coaches, and obviously comes from, just a big-time winning program in high school, and then same with the summer team. But we knew that we needed to see her. I saw her one time in the summer, because everything was such a blur for me that July. Didn't have a staff yet. I think Mark got to see her, or Coach Campbell got to see her once as well. And then we saw film, and then obviously did the whole thing. But what we knew though was she's a winner. And what I loved that I heard was, Scott, she's a glue player. She blends personalities. She's a big-time leader. and those are the things that appeal to me as we're building a program. I need people that are resilient, that know how to win, that can blend personalities, because who knows who we're going to be attracting, or, I don't know. And so that everything I heard was, that's exactly what we need. Well, because of her, I guess you could say unorthodox style in a way, I think a lot of the bigger schools didn't pursue her, let alone, and so we're really blessed for that reason. She had a couple mid-major offers, I know, and I don't know beyond that, but it was the perfect fit, obviously.
First time you saw her shoot, were you concerned because it's unorthodox?
No, she was interested, so I was excited. I didn't care. No, you see the effort, you see the heart, the hustle, and then the shot goes in, though. That's the thing. I saw the shot go in. And so I'm like, well, we could tweak things if we need to, but this is a winner, and she's going to make the plays, and that's what she's done from the minute she got here.
Oh, so what did you think? Because I can tell you're laughing, because people talk a lot about her shot being kind of funky. What did you think the first time you saw her play?
I love the way she plays, the way she gets out, and she's one of the ones who always gets our fast break layup. She's always pushing herself. And then, yeah, her shot does look a little funny, but it does go in almost all the time.
But you've been a big believer for a long time that freshmen can contribute. You've had a lot of freshmen in your years of coaching have been big. Why do you think that?
I love freshmen. They're so excited to be here. When I student taught, I loved elementary. That was my favorite. They're so excited. They're bouncing outside the gym, and then they just run in the gym. And it wears you out, but it's a blast. It's so fun because they're so excited. And freshmen are similar. Everything's new. It's fun. They're like, you can mold them. They're like clay. Everything you say is gold, and they do exactly what you need them to do. And we won't talk about the sophomore year, because that's a rough one for most people. But I don't know. We have had success with them, and so if you can play your first year. Allie's a great example of that.
That being said, were you surprised? She led you at Stanford with 16 points, and even if she's a freshman who can play, she's huge in the Civil War.
No, it didn't surprise me. Not at that point. We've had several opportunities for her to show us what she's capable of, and then that's where her background comes in. This is a player that had won 3 straight state championships. She's been on the biggest stage at whatever level she's been at. So here's the next biggest stage. She's been living for this, for years, and she's been picturing herself at Stanford and Cal because she's from Stockton, and so that was the coolest thing, to have her go there and play so big, and then that game just proved that she can do it anywhere, so the Civil War was no surprise to us.
Scott, what was the difference between the Thursday night Cal game, because I know you were frustrated after that game as the team was, and then the great play the following Saturday? Because like you said, you thought that Saturday was kind of the beginning of where you are right now. Did it happen somewhere between those two games, like a discussion, a talk about maybe getting pushed around by Cal or something?
Well, yeah. That next night we watched film of our mistakes, which some people could have taken as discouraging, but I don't. I see, if you look at your mistake, you know how to correct it. And so if you're a competitor, you're going to take that film and you're going to say, okay, this is what we could do different in that situation. And man, we were down, but we showed them every missed shot. We showed them every turnover. We showed them every defensive mistake in the first half. And there were a lot. We left 20 points on the board. We gave up, I don't know what it was, 17 or something to them in that first half based on mistakes on the floor defensively. We were like, what would the halftime score be if we fixed this and fixed this? And they took it the right way. And it gave them confidence, like I hoped, And so then, just along with the experience of, being on the court freaked out on the road, it was new for a lot of them. And so, that those two things, I think, helped them have the right perspective and belief in themselves, I hope Saturday.
So, Alyssa, is there an excitement as a player to want to, because it's not unique, but it's kind of neat that you get to play teams twice and make good on some things. Win or lose, you can at least correct mistakes. Are you excited to get back at Cal then on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because especially after watching the film that he just talked about, we could have totally been in that game, and just the mental mistakes that we made. I mean, if we fix those, it's going to be a battle.
They're phenomenal, though. I mean, there's a reason we looked terrible. It wasn't us. It was them. We weren't ready to play against them yet. It was inexperience on our part, and that was part of our learning process this year. You know, they're the most athletic team in our conference, and I think one of the most athletic teams in the country. I mean, they're incredible athletes.
So how hard is it then do you put all your eggs in the basket for a game like Thursday night, fourth-ranked team, knowing you got another one on Saturday? How do you break that down when you're preparing?
That's top secret. I can't tell you, but I think we'll be ready.
Scott, we've talked about this before, 6-game winning streak. Now you got to come home. There's probably going to be more fans Thursday and Saturday. Are you concerned that the pressure might get to this group that's still figuring a lot of stuff out?
Yeah, that's the fun of this whole thing. I mean, no, it could, but we don't worry. I mean, we just got to play, you know, and so it's going to be very similar to the first time around. You know, you go into Maples, 4,000 people. You can't be intimidated, you know. So I hope our experiences throughout the season, you know, to this point, will allow our minds to be in the right places where we can't worry about the stuff that doesn't matter, and that stuff doesn't matter. You got to worry about this possession and that possession and so on. And if we do that, then, you know, hopefully we'll give ourselves a chance to be in the game.
So given the experiences, the confidence, the winning streak, what do you think the ceiling is for this team this season?
Yet to be determined. You know, I know we have 2 teams on our schedule that have beaten us, and we have 3 that we've beaten. We have to go with their home floors, though. And so we've got 5 tough games. You know, what I've learned, though, about them is they love a challenge, you know, and there's a confidence in them that they rise to the challenge. And this past weekend was a great example of that. We didn't have our best game at Washington State the other night. We had a lot of mental baggage in that game because we hadn't beaten that team yet in 2 years. And then going to Washington, and everything went against us for about a 5-minute stretch, and we were up 8 to down 6, and it was spinning out of control on us, and then they found a way to get it done. And Molly steps up, and Alyssa steps up, and Allie hits a 3, and then we didn't give up an offensive rebound the last 8 minutes of that game, you know, and so they rise to the occasion. So I can't wait to watch. You know, it's like I don't know what this team can do, but it's fun to coach them because, you know, they just keep competing every night. So I'm excited to see.
What was it? I'm just curious, when you guys played at Stanford, at Maples, in front of all those fans, do you remember much, either of you, what was the crowd's reaction to a lot of stuff that was happening? Did they give you guys a pretty good cheer at the end of the game? Do you think they were impressed?
The courtesy cheer. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they know about the program.
We've had enough people that have talked to people that have said, you know, they were impressed by this team that day, and so it was a cool feeling. I just remember that, you know, it was quiet, you know, which you just love. I mean, there's nothing like going on the road, right? And that day had that element to it. And then probably the coolest thing was, it wasn't the coolest, but when they did hit the big 3 to take the lead, it erupted, and it was a sincere eruption. I mean, the crowd, you know, knew that they were in a fight that day, and so I think that I don't know. I know that felt good to all of us. I think that okay, we didn't just show up and, you know, battle for a while then die. I mean, we came and competed, and they knew it was a real game, you know, and so that felt good.
Which in turn means you know you're going to get their best shot Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to get their best shot. Yeah, but to go where we want to go, you're going to get everybody's best shot. You know, and that's the neat thing this year. I think we've been getting people's best shot. You know, a year ago I wasn't so sure. You know, I didn't know. We were the Oregon State team of walk-ons and all this stuff, you know, and I didn't know if everybody brought their A game. You know, this year I think they have been, and this team's been resilient enough to handle it.
Where do you want to go ultimately? Have you talked about
to Denver, Lindsay? To Denver.
This year? Have you talked about setting goals, that type of thing?
No. Mm-mm. We talked about Anna, at the beginning, and said we want to be a postseason team, and I think half the people rolled their eyes and we want to be above 500. She threw that out, I think, on our team retreat, and but that's where her expectation was, and we just want to be a team that believes that we can win, and that's different from a year ago. We were a team that believed we could be close a year ago, and that kind of limited us. And this year, this is a team that believes we can be close and we can finish, and so hopefully we can keep doing that.
Anything else?
All right.